Hello and welcome to another An Old Man Watches, and today I'm going to be talking about Gamera films from the period 1968 to 1980. It's actually mostly the period 1968 to 1971. There was the series went moribund after the 1971 film for the rest of the 70s, only returning for a cheapy clip show style movie in 1980, where over 98% of the scenes involving the giant atomic turtle Gamera are recycled footage from the earlier films. But yeah, mostly I'm going to be talking about the films from 68, 69, 70 and 71, because over those 4 years, Gamera basically fought every year he fought a new menace to Earth. The giant-headed octopode aliens from Viras, the deadly knife-headed monster Gyron, this weird porcupine reptile thing with parasitic eggs named Jiga, and giant shark aliens from the planet Zegra. Often there was sort of an aquatic type orientation to Gamera's enemies, given that he is himself a giant space turtle. Frankly, none of these movies are very good, and one of the confounding things about the Gamera franchise, to me anyway, is that it managed to limp along for as many films as it did. I suspect that the success of Godzilla, the ABBA to Gamera's Bucks Fizz, during the late 60s and early 70s, probably played a significant part in the fact that Gamera was able to kind of limp along in the wake. So I'm covering all of these movies in one go, because in terms of plot, they're all pretty much the same thing. Alien spaceships and/or monsters threaten Earth and/or children. Gamera turns up to help. Initially, of course, he struggles against the new enemy because they had special attacks and abilities for which he's not familiar, and they catch him by surprise. But eventually he gets a rematch, hulks up, and saves the day. I mean, you don't watch these movies for innovation in the storylines. They really do follow a pretty standard pattern, and that's true of all kaiju films. Of course, it's true of many films, not just kaiju. And frankly, in my opinion, execution matters more than innovation. If you do a familiar story really well, I'm going to enjoy it. If you do an unfamiliar story, you better do it well, because otherwise I'm going to be saying, why did you do it this way? So yeah, the issue with these films is often that the execution is commonly not the best, which doesn't mean that I've got nothing to talk about, of course. So first of all, so Godzilla's turn to the side of good was not exactly the most rousing moment in cinematic history. It involved him and Mothra bellowing at one another, while the miniature women from Monster Island translated their roars and screeches. Yeah, but at least it was something that happened on screen. In the space of his first 3 movies, Gamera went from dangerous energy-eating monster to friend of all children, without a single syllable of in-universe explanation for why this was happening. It just did. Hey, Godzilla's a good guy now, Gamera better be one too. Rather than rampaging after the energy sources that he needs to feed on to stay alive, he changed his patterns to just roaming the planet looking for kids in trouble and rescuing them from aliens or monsters or exploding volcanoes or whatever else happened to be going on. His entire motivation appears to be, I'm a good guy now. And I mean, it's probably hard to ascribe much motivation to a giant turtle that can't talk. But that's generally one of the reasons that giant monster movies have human characters in them, to explain stuff. In these movies, that explanation is literally just, Gamera is a friend to all children. It's very twee, it's saccharine, it's shallow, and maybe that's fine for the very young audience the films seem to be targeting, but it's not very satisfying for the rest of us, especially because, good grief, the children in question are awful. They are universally obnoxious little brats, to the point where, frankly, I'd rather the evil monster / alien / whatever else got to eat them. There is one movie where the aliens want to eat the children's brains, and I'm like, you're not going to get a meal out of that. These kids are idiots. I'm sure that, it's not intended by the film's creators that the audience be sitting there wishing death upon the children. Presumably, they're meant to be cute and precocious, and maybe, by 1960s Japanese cultural standards, they are. I don't know. What I do know is that I found them universally to be like nails on a chalkboard, piercing and setting my teeth on edge. Their presence is, I mean, I guess it's associated with this whole effort to kidify the franchise. And that's also exhibited by the goofy staging of the fights, such as when, in the middle of his battle with Gyron, Gamera does some parallel bar gymnastics. The final thing that I wanted to talk about is the clip show movie from 1980, Gamera, Super Monster. This was produced as an attempt to salvage the studio's then rocky finances, and therefore was being made as cheaply as possible, and therefore relies almost entirely on recycled footage from the early movies for the giant turtle action. That comprises about a third of the whole film, with the rest being given over to, well, frankly, gloriously incoherent stupidity. Whether it be the opening shot that's riffing on Star Wars harder than Spaceballs ever did, or the segments where Gamera somehow ends up overlaid on popular animated shows like Yamato, or Star Blazers as it was known in the US, or the space women heroes who are Gamera's allies in his battle to protect the Earth from all the monsters that he already fought. Super Monster, just as a movie, just pulls absolutely no punches in its attempt to paper together a movie from stock footage, random pop culture references, and aping other people's stuff. The Space Women smack strongly of an attempt to cash in on Super Sentai, or Power Rangers, as they were known in the US. It's a bad film, but it's bad in a way that is memorable and even sometimes fun. Like, it's my favourite of these films, because it's at least bad fun. You know, it's fun bad, however you want to say it. Like, it's a shame that, you know, that really can't be said of the other movies from this era. And generally speaking, yeah, I would say, like, if you want something just ridiculously silly, watch Super Monster. If you want the best of a bad lot, watch Gamera versus Jiger. It's, you know, it's the closest to being an okay kaiju movie out of this set. So that's Gamera films from 1968 to 1980. Next time, Pitch Black, science fiction thriller from the year 2000, starring some fellow named Vin Diesel. Wonder what happened to that guy. So that's next time. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks very much for watching.